Welcome to the Pastor Chira Show. I'm Pastor Chira, and today we launch. We launch into new territory. We launch into new mindset. We launch into new relationships. Are you ready to launch out? Come on and launch out with me as we go into this conversation on today. And today's conversation is actually a previous conversation because it is one of the conversations that we had during the Pastors and Leaders Summit 2023 with Overseer Bryant K. Knight. And during the Pastors and Leaders Summit this year, there was someone, actually it was a couple, but we'll start with him first, that came and they talked about entrepreneurship. They talked about building business, but not just building business in church, but building business for them, for their own wealth, for their own well-being. And it was very interesting how the conversation started, but more importantly, how it ended. But I want you to hear Bishop Cannon as he sits and speaks with me about entrepreneurship and how he got here. Take a listen. I appreciate you sharing just the building part. And I think one of the parts that I think a lot of us have the issue with, it's not the what to do, but it really is the how.
Yeah.
And what I heard you say is people have to see you doing what you do inside and outside of the church. Because if they see it inside and they see it outside, if they see you outside, they're going to bring it inside.
See, a lot of times we look at pastors.
Yeah.
They drive a nice car and they always asking for money. But what do?
What do they do? Right.
They look at me, man. I was scared to say something. That man got his own businesses.
Right.
Like, I don't need your money. It's a biblical principle. So now I can preach from or teach from a place of principle,
right,
and not necessity.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's with me, what you see is what you get.
Right.
Man.
But how do you? So you made one more point, and then I'm gonna let you go.
No, I'm good now. I got comfortable. My sweat doesn't stop. I think I got at least an hour and a half for the next presenter. Oh man, you gonna have fun editing this.
But you gave.
I'm just giving you practice for the rest of the conference.
I know, right?
Yeah. My pop-up was it? Did you interview my pop-up?
No.
Last night, Bishop Dennis.
Oh yes, Lord.
My bishop is his bishop.
Oh.
He's my bishop's bishop.
Bishop.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Pop-up.
Yeah. We love Bishop Dennis.
Yeah.
Love him.
But you got me today.
I know. We love you too.
But go ahead. You was there.
But you talked about showing and giving. But we also talked about being online. And not everybody's coming anymore. So in us showing, as the pastors and the leaders, showing ourselves giving, is that literally the envelope that we have to show?
Well, at my church, the church I came out of, they call leadership out first before they raise the offering from the people.
Right.
They call it, you walk up here.
Right.
At my church, we don't really walk like that because we have a smaller church. But I tell the people that give electronically, just hold your phone up. Okay. And it shows the people, hey, not only does it show I gave, but it shows I'm in agreement
with what's going on
with the house.
Yeah.
With the house. And one of the things I learned, we've been streaming since the pandemic started, and we were not making the requests. So we just had a basket after church. You just give as you leave.
Right.
And it wasn't until maybe about a month and a half ago that we start. We have a decree that we say, this is my good seed that I'm sowing into fertile ground. And by faith, I decree I'll never be broke another day of my life.
That's it.
So we make everybody hold their seed up, whether it's their phone because you gave electronically or hold your envelope up. And then what they do now, and they be typing in the chat. Now, this is my good seed.
Right.
And I love it because even though you're not in the house,
right,
you're still in the house.
Still in the house, right. And that's what we have to do. We have to make sure people still feel.
And we create that sense of family and unity Even because some people just not coming back in the building.
They just not.
Now you got to help me with something, and you can edit this piece if you want. I don't know how you can go to the Poconos, you can go to Punta Cana, you can go to Cabo, you can go to Vegas, you can go to Walmart, you can go to Sam's, you can go to Target, but you can't come to church.
Can't come to church.
You was in Atlantic City last week. You had your hand on that slot. But you can't come to church.
No.
So I don't like, but it is what it is. We have to accentuate the positive.
Right.
People, and the thing about church is free.
Yeah.
There's not no mandate. I mean, the Bible says, "Come, let's reason together, forsake not the assembly of yourselves together." All of that, but it's not a dictatorship where you have to go. So we can't make people go.
It's volunteer.
We just volunteer, yes, ma'am. So we have to figure out ways that we can include them,
right,
even though they feel inclusive or exclusive.
Exclusive. We have to make them feel inclusive.
Because I talk right to the camera.
Right.
I asked the lady in the back, I said, "What camera am I talking to?" And I get right up in the camera, I'm talking to you.
Yes, I'm talking to you.
And they get to laughing. And some of them I see sometimes in the streets, and they be like, "I feel like I'm right there." Now, on the flip side of that, we've given you that out to not have a desire to want to come.
Right.
We had one person told me, "Man, I'll be laying in the bed, me and my girl smoking a blunt listening to you." You be saying
you listening though.
But you listening though. So
you listening though. I appreciate you.
I thank you so much. I don't normally do this kind of. I'm shy, believe it or not. Don't know about me. I'm an introvert.
I am too.
They don't believe it, but I am an introvert. I can stay in my house till it's time to come out.
Yes.
And be good.
Yep.
You ain't gonna never see me at the mall.
Nope.
You ain't gonna never see me. We go on vacation. I'll be right in the hotel. My wife likes the beach.
Okay.
So my condition is we always stay at a hotel on the beach.
Right.
With a balcony.
Right.
Now, you need to go on down to the beach. I'll be right here on the 18th floor.
I'm gonna look at you.
Hey, move over. You're too close to that white man. Move over. But I don't. She does the camera thing when she teaches and presents, and this is something new to me. I get a little nervous, but thank you. You made me feel real welcome.
I'm glad.
So
see, this is what we.
But this is me though. I mean, I'm like this. Period. I don't have different hats that I put on. The deep me, the educated me, the bourgeoisie me.
Shouldn't we just be ourselves though? Because I don't want to have to figure out when I walk into this room who I'm supposed to be.
My whole thing is, I might see you and your husband in Dubai next year.
Right.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I ain't going to remember your name.
But we going to say hi.
But you're going to say, at the conference. And I'm going to remember your face.
Right.
And we're going to pick up right where we left off.
That's what we do.
I ain't good with names.
That's okay. Because it's about the relationship. Me
and my wife got this thing. You can add when we get done up. When we be going to see people that I know, I'll be like, "This is my wife." And she'd be like, "Hi, my name is LaFeisha." To make them say their name.
Right.
Know their names.
But she knows.
She know. This was nice, though.
I appreciate it.
So you're going to start a podcast. Now I'm going to interview now. So you're going to start a podcast.
No, I have a show.
You have a show?
Yes. So I've had a show for 3 years. Oh. I'm in the third year.
So what do you talk? What is your platform?
It's the Pastor Chira Show. And what I do is, candid conversations.
Oh, man.
We launch into new relationships. We launch into new mindsets. We launch into new relationships, new mindsets, new territory.
That's what's up.
That's what I do.
We desire this time next year to have a podcast. We want to call it Conversation with the Cannons. Mm-hmm. So each Sunday night, we do something on Instagram Live for right now, 15, 20 minutes, where you can ask us questions, whether it's about relationship, entrepreneur. Right. Because one of the things that we're running into, and I know I'm over my time, but we're just talking. One of the things that I'm running into now, and it's sad, and I'm surprised nobody asked today. Well, it was an entrepreneur thing today. What happens when I'm married and one spouse is on the grind, but one ain't?
Absolutely.
I get a lot of that. Like,
so what happens?
My wife wants to do business and create generational wealth, but the husband don't.
Right.
So now it creates a wedge in the relationship and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, we talk about stuff like that. It's rough.
It is.
It's rough. And what we find ourselves doing, we've sacrificed, like, people all across the country. Detroit, let's just say Detroit. We'll fly to Detroit for a couple of days and hang out with them. and just have conversations, just to show that you don't have to leave what you're doing to be supportive of this.
Right.
Because a lot of times I talk to the person that don't want to do, and it's like they don't see where they fit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So anything I don't understand, I'll abuse. Right. And you don't realize you're abusing the situation by not being supportive. Right. You don't have to bake cake with me, but just show your support of me baking the cake. Right. You don't have to do what I'm doing. Right. But at least show the support. My wife, when we started transportation, my wife's an accountant by trade. Okay. She was vice president of finance for Delaware State University. Oh, okay. So you're over $1 million
budgets. Yeah.
So when I quit my job, she was like, "That's nice." And then she, had good stuff to say, like, "You go on, do what it is you want to do." Right. And we have this as a cushion. Right. We have this as a foundation. Benefits. Mm-hmm. She's making $120,000, $130,000. So we was comfortable. Right. Until there were certain areas in the business that I was not good at. Right. I'm not good at accounting. Let me go out here and do the grunt work. Right. Let me go do the dirty work.
But this business part, yeah.
We were hemorrhaging money.
Really?
When we first started. Like, when we first started, I took shoebox money. You know what shoebox money is, right? Yeah. And I bought my vans and I bought everything with no loans. Everything was that free. Right. But when it came time to do payroll and pay for fuel and all that, the girl we had in the office was not watching it like an accountant should. Right. So it got to the point where she had to make a decision.
To stay.
And we had an argument one day.
The nuggets, the information, the knowledge that Bishop Cannon is given to us in just these short minutes. But we're going to go to a commercial break. And on the other side, we're going to hear more from Bishop Cannon. And stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back, and we're going into our conversation with Bishop Cannon. So sit back, get this information, because it's going to help you, because his journey has helped me. Let's go.
You better behave. I know how you do. I know how you do. I was talking about how we see a lot of couples that either one is the go-getter as far as the entrepreneur and the other one's not. Right. And we was talking about how we kind of like minister to those kind of people, or how we try to help encourage them people. And I said how when I first started transportation company, you was perfectly happy staying at the university.
I was
making all that money. I said about how shiny
I was.
And how like there was something there was a piece to our puzzle that only you could provide. I was talking about how we was hemorrhaging the money and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then talking about how we had that argument.
Which one?
We on camera, don't act like that. He's supposed to say,
yeah.
About you making money for everybody else.
Oh, I didn't think there was an argument, because it was eye-opening for me. It was a space where I was, in that quandary of when he first said he wanted the transportation company. I personally told him, like, I can help augment it, but I couldn't be the primary. Like, I can't give you the support you need because, you know, my job at the time was taking so much of me.
Right.
So it was, and at the time, it was never a choice of which one. I was just like, well, I got to stay here and I'll help you do this as I can.
Right.
But like you said, when we got into the place and I started hiring other people or expecting other people to step up in that space, and nobody's going to take care of you, baby, like you will.
Absolutely.
And then it got to a place where, you know, I wasn't happy. I transitioned from one place to another. And when I got to this, you know, in this midst of transition, he said to me, like, you can make it work for everybody else. When are you going to make this work for us? Like, you stepping in this space and you're, you know, increasing their market share, increasing their enrollment, you finding money, you doing all these wonderful things because of your skill set. But when are you going to make it work for us? And I heard him, but I didn't move for probably another 3 months. Maybe 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
And it wasn't until, and at this point, I heard him, but I'm like, whatever. But a friend of mine said something that, you know, triggered or something. So I was like, she don't know what she's talking about. She always finds something to say. And then it was when we purchased some land from somebody, the gentleman that we purchased the land from, he was looking for an accounting manager. And so I said, hey, I love the opportunity. Let's talk about it. And we went to the interview, and it was the most unorthodox interview I'd ever been at, where he was kind of like over in the corner with his feet propped up, like a CEO does.
Right.
And I'm meeting with his HR manager and his operations manager, and we're talking, and they're interviewing, and everything is vibing. And he just blurts out in the middle of it, like, LaFeisha, I'm not giving you a job. And he said, what you need to figure out is how to make those skills that you have work for you. Like, not that I don't think you'd be an asset to my company, I do, but I feel like you got so much going on that you need to figure out how to make money off of what you already know, and you need to do it for yourself. And then when he said that, I heard him.
Wow.
And I went home and I talked to him.
Glory.
And not even 2 weeks later, I went back to work, maybe a month, if that. And I went back to work and I gave them my letter of resignation. And in that process, even then, it was touch and go because one of the reasons, you know, when people talk about wealth, the first thing they think about is money.
Right.
But it's not always necessarily in the place of money.
Freedom.
Sometimes it's in time freedom. It's in being able to invest in those things that can't be replaced.
Right.
And during this transition, my mother-in-law passed away. So I've given my notice. I'm getting ready to leave this place. I've given them, you know, we put a transition plan in place of who I'm going to meet with and hand off this responsibility. And then my mother-in-law passes.
Right.
So now I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I ain't going to be able to hold to what I originally said, because at the end of the day, my husband's not going to look back on this moment and wish his wife were here. But because I was worried about y'all's transition, that I neglected my responsibility.
Right.
So I told him, hey, y'all, this is what it is. I know I said this day, I can't come in. I'll be here this day. I need half day here. We need And the next day I came to work. They said, you don't have to come back anymore. And I was hurt. I legit was hurt. But then I heard the voice of the Lord. Basically. But I heard the Lord say, what you mad for? You ain't got to go back and they going to pay you for the rest of the time. So what you mad for?
Right.
So I picked up my bruised feelings and I went on home to my husband like, hey,
I gotta
go back.
But see,
And
one
from
of the
there,
things that the motto, it's a T-shirt that we have, a brand. I'm betting on myself.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't bet on nothing else, I gotta believe in myself enough to know that I'm gonna make it.
Right.
Think about it. Y'all have children?
No.
Okay. Did you have a husband? Yeah. He's betting on you to go out and do what you need to do to make the relationship what it is.
Right.
Right?
Mortgage.
You have a mortgage, you have rent.
Yes.
That person that holds that note betting on you that you're gonna make that payment once a month.
Right.
The people at Wawa betting on you that your car gonna run out of gas at least twice a week when you come to them. Everybody's betting on you for something. Everybody's pulling on you for something. Why can't you channel that energy into you betting on yourself?
Right.
I remember being maybe the first couple of months, it was euphoric, having the freedom. It was great.
Right.
Man, somewhere around June, I was like, wait a minute.
Now, hold up.
Yeah. I saw how our sleep be. Or lack of it.
Yeah, lack of it. But in that moment, though, you know, talking about the whole being in the space of betting on yourself and staying committed to it, like we said, pivot and press. In that time, I remember seeing a job that I was like, I know if I go apply, they're going to give it to me. Well, at least give me an interview.
Right.
And if they give me an interview,
I'm going to get it.
I might probably get this job. And it's right around the corner from my house. It's back in high, and it was a K through 12 school, so it was a district office. But it was in that moment that, my mindset shift back to that concept of responsibility and us working together and creating that degree of wealth that money can't buy.
Right.
And as a wife, I was just like, I got a husband out here trying to make it work with this business. And if I go out here and apply for this job, I undermine everything he's working for in this relationship. And after that, it was like, get it out your mind. And I can honestly, I've never had a second thought after that. And it's like, whatever he rocking, I'm rolling. Right. Listen, he's saying we getting limos, I'm gonna drive it. Right. He's saying we doing slingshots, I'm gonna help you clean it. Like, what we doing? Do I need my scarf today? Do I need my pens in? What we doing?
Like, not to turn this into an entrepreneurial. We've always been one to pride ourselves on being. Only reason I like being here right now, because we're getting ready for conversation with the cannons, and they got all these cameras that like. I kind of like this. I told her I'd be getting nervous. Don't I get nervous doing this? But I like it today though. I feel a sense of warmth. But we prided ourselves on a lot of firsts. Like, we were one of the first ones that what slingshots are. Those 3-wheel motorcycles. Oh, yeah. We actually rent those. Oh. In Delaware, like, having our property on a major highway, like, we pride ourselves on first. And it's like, I will always say, if you take care of God's business and keep God first, he will always take care of your business. And there were some times where our back was up against the wall because I've leveraged some things to make other business moves. But I'm going to bet on myself. Yeah.
Every time.
I'm going to do that. Every time. Because what's the worst can happen? See, I was homeless.
But how do you keep that? How do you keep that confidence though? Are there not days where you're just like, yes, it is called bills. All right.
Well, I have mine is it's gonna work or it's gonna work. Like, there is no thought in my mind that it's not gonna work. I need to figure out how. Right. Yeah. Like, figure out who, figure out how. Is there a resource? What can I learn? Who, what's the missing part of my puzzle or whatever? That's how my mind just goes, like, it can't not work. Right. Maybe we need to tweak it. Maybe we need to fix it. We need to find another way. We got to pave a new path. We got to detour, but it can't not work. It can't not work. Okay. And if I can't do it, that means I need to pay somebody to do it. But it can't not get done.
Because we pay people.
Absolutely. Yeah. You paying your time or your money. That's my greatest statement is when he asks for something and I give him a response and he looks like, I don't want to pay that. I says, time or money. Which one you want? It. Either we put that time or
you tight?
Man, listen. He squeezed that nickel so hard. Whatever president on there. He's crying.
But it's rewarding though. To whom much is given, much is required. Yeah. It's very rewarding. But what's more rewarding now, I've proven it can be done. We've proven it can be done. We just want to help other people. Yeah. Come to us with an idea. We take it from there. Like, what do you want to do? Right. We're going to figure out a way to monetize it.
There's always a way to do it.
So, now you can't forget me.
No, we got to connect. You on Instagram, right?
Yes.
Oh, man. Listen.
Yeah, you do.
We got to connect. That's our new system.
Because he can... So you partner, right? So you want this.
Power partnership.
Right? You want
I just like looking at myself on the camera now. We 34 minutes in. Hey, I'm executive producer now too. Wrap it up.
Y'all see, there's never a dull moment in my life, right?
Never, ever.
And see, we didn't have time, but like even on my record label. Right. My record label started because I wanted to I believe that we had some gifted people in our area that just didn't have a shot. So I put money behind them to push them to the masses, and it morphed into that. Yeah. A lot of times we do stuff out of the kindness of our heart. Think about Uber, Lyft.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to give people a ride.
Yeah, that's all.
And look at what it morphed into. If we just channel what God has given us, everybody, I just believe, if I'm wrong, God can correct me. I believe everybody has that one something that God has given them at birth to create wealth. Yep. To come off your 9 to 5.
I say it all the time. I'm a woman of wealth.
Man, absolutely.
That's who I am. Whether you see it or not, I know who I am. And it will manifest. And it manifests all the time.
I think we over our time. I think it's going to be like 10, 15 minutes.
No,
you out of time, but you're not out of word.
I want to be prepared for the next people.
So you got to get the cameras. You got to get because the studio is in. We turned the room in the house.
Yeah, I told her I was going to put a studio in our basement.
Yeah. He literally just said that yesterday.
So he can come help you. Look, did I just volunteer? Did I just volunteer?
Yeah.
Like I did.
It's all right.
I'll barbecue for you.
See? There it is. So that's what we do.
But this is nice. Content is the next wave. People want information.
Yes.
And with what you're doing, people need to hear story. Scripture says we're overcomers by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the testimony. I need to hear somebody else's experience.
That's all I do.
And the reason why we talk is because I hope there was somebody in that church today that says, you know what? If he can do it, I can.
Right.
Because it can be done.
It can be done.
It's just that WFPT.
He is funny.
They kept it from us.
They did.
We're the only community that don't share information.
But it's them. It's the A's too.
All of them. The K's. The J's. All the alphabet.
All the alphabet. Except for the B's and A's. Well, our A's. Our double A. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our double A.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But all the rest of them, they share. One down, we're going to rally to pick them up.
Yep.
Ain't no way in the world, in the other communities, oh, they can ready to lose their church? No, the devil is alive.
Right.
What do we need to do?
What do we need to do? What do we need to do?
Let me call the bank.
Yes.
And get the bank president on the line. That's what they do. Not us. We go in DMs and talk about people.
Right. We need to stop that.
We do.
Can I say thank you?
Man, thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
You have helped me today.
I'm so going to call you. See? You got to hear it from him and her. Yes, Lady Cannon came in and she had so much to add. Being in business is not something that we do by ourselves on our own. We gotta make sure that we're in it with the right one and for the right reason. And she came to her own self with her own marriage. And look at them now. They are doing exceedingly abundantly above what they could ask or think. So think about it. Think about it. For you, how do you see you building you? How do you see you investing in you? Because, like she said, if you don't do it, who will? I'm Pastor Chira. This is the Pastor Chira Show, and I'll see you next week. God bless. Coming up on the Pastor Chira Show. And that is none other than Anissa Farrell.